teachers. I know it's been a while since I've been on here with a new game, so I wanted to jump on today and give you something new to look at. So this is a activity that you can follow up with a game, and you might not want to do this all in one lesson, so it can start from sort of a very beginning staff level, and then you can build up over the course, or I should say you can build up as a student progresses. So, and you could easily jump into this activity slash game as well, depending on where the student already is. So if it's a late elementary student or a mid-elementary student, you can kind of jump in wherever it is. So the basic premise of all of these activities are using guide notes, and I think most of us use guide notes. So these activities, again, come out of the Music Mind Games curriculum. So you can check out the Music Mind Games Facebook page. MusicMindGames.com is the website. You can go there. There's lots of information there that you can read about the different games, and then they also have videos. Some of the videos are free of some of the games, and some of them are through subscription services. So anyway, if you want to learn more about Music Mind Games, you can look there. I was using those long before I started teaching online, and they just, all of the curriculum, the materials, and everything just transferred really, really well to online teaching, and so I've just continued using them because they've worked so well. So that's why you're always seeing those here. So I'm going to bring you back to my staff slate. So with guide notes, what I sometimes do at the beginning of a lesson, so if I've had a student who just started on the staff, they would learn, actually the first activity is just to learn treble G, my mistake. So you can have them put that right in the belly of the treble clef is what I call it, and then they move it over, and that's treble G, of course. And then bass F between the dot dot. And then the staff slate pack, actually just the single staff slate pack, comes with these little transparencies, these little lines, and then that is middle C. So the very first level is just to learn those. And so what I would normally do in a lesson is put these on the staff and have the student tell me the letter name, and then they would play it on the piano. So not only do they know the names, but then you're working a little bit on making sure they can find them. Then the next step I would do is I would add treble C and bass C. And again, I would do this at the beginning of a lesson. It just really gets students thinking about the notes that they're going to be using. So again, if they were to come on to a lesson at the very start, this would just be blank, and I'd say, okay, we're going to go over guide notes, tell me what this is, and then have them play it, tell me what this is, and so on. So it's a really, really quick and easy thing that you can do. If you want to save even more time, you can actually just already have them set up. Sometimes I will have them set up ahead of time and just point to them and have them tell me their full name, like treble G, bass F, bass C, and then play them on the piano. And then, of course, the last two C's here, we would add high C and low C. So in Music Mind Games, this is referred to as the 5 C's. And so that's one of the things they work on. And then the last two that are added to make the grand 9 is what it's referred to as in the Music Mind Games, is high G and low F. So there is your grand 9. So that's the activity. Just having them identify the notes and having them play them on the piano. Now, my students have a staff slate and these magic notes at their home, so they can place the notes on their own time as part of practice. So if your students don't have that, other things that I've done in lieu of that, if I do have a student who doesn't have this, or they're waiting for the materials to come, I'll have them print off. Susan Paradise has a grand staff on her teaching resources pages. I'll have the parent print that off, and I'll have the student draw them. You could also do, if you can put the paper in a dry erase sleeve, or just even a paper protector sleeve, they can draw them with a dry erase marker, and then they can keep reusing that page, so that we're not like destroying hundreds of trees printing grand staff pages. So that's another option. So there are lots of ways you can do this if you don't have the materials. Then once students are comfortable with the guide notes, there is a game that's called Slap the C's, F's, and G's. And the game is designed to be used with all of these, but again, you could pare it down and do a smaller set of flashcards. So I'll show you that. These are the Grand Staff cards, but again, you could use these with any set of flashcards. What I like about these are the answers aren't on the back. But actually, I guess if you're doing this on camera, which is how I've designed it to be, it doesn't matter that if the answers are on the back. So, but if students are doing this, students could even do this with their parents if they have a set of flashcards at home, and then actually maybe it would be good if the answers are on the back for the parents. So lots of different ways to do that. But if they are, if they have learned the entire Grand 9, you can take the full set of flashcards, which are going to take you, these actually go to the B below low C and to the D above high C. And because Music Mind Games is designed for all instruments, there are even a few cards in here that are string cards like this, which I can't speak a lot about because I'm not a string player, but these have to do with the open strings on the stringed instruments. I hope I'm saying that right. So, I actually, so I love this game, Slap the C's, F's, and G's, and I tried this really recently with a new student who has some note background. So we started with the Grand 9 actually. So, but what I had him do, he really likes percussion instruments. So he also plays marimba. So I had him get a drum. So I'm going to demonstrate today with this drum. So it's called Slap the C's, F's, and C's. So since the student can't reach through the camera and slap the card, you need a noisemaker. So any sort of noisemaker will work. I chose a drum for this particular student because he likes the drum, and he actually even had a nice fancy mallet. His drum was way fancier than mine. But you could do, like, if you have a noisemaker, I don't have any of those, but you could use noisemakers, like a bike horn. You know, the more, either the sillier the noisemaker is, for some students it will be more meaningful, or if it's something they connect with, like a drum. I mean, you could blow on a recorder. I'm sure parents will love that. There are all sorts of different things you can do. So let me show you now how the game works, and just know that I have a drum here. So I would hold these up close to the screen, and then you just keep revealing the card. Then when they see one of the Grand 9, they either hit the drum or make noise on whatever noisemaker they have. And I do, depending on the student, I do 3 to 5 seconds each, so they have a chance to think. I don't want them to be stressed out with speed, so I would think, so today I was thinking 1, 2, 3. And I would just go like this, and they're waiting. There's a little suspense here. 2, 3. I'm taking you through this so you can feel the suspense. 3. Where is it going to happen? Have your noisemakers ready. 1, 2, 3. It's very suspenseful. Maybe I left them all out. Oops. What did I do with them? It shouldn't be this long. I think I maybe accidentally, you know what I bet I did? Hold on. Don't do this in your lesson. Okay. Yeah, you know what? I know exactly why. It's this way. Oops. Sorry about that. Okay, so here we go. We're resuming the game. That didn't really happen. Oh, middle C! And they hit it. So here's the other exciting, kind of neat thing about the game. I had done this with a student earlier today, and all the guide notes were taken out and put together, so I apologize about that. But here's the other cool thing I like about this game, and I'll try to give you an example. So if you have a student doing a Grand 9, and let's say this card comes up right here, they will often hit their noisemaker, and I'll say, well, look really close. And they'll be like, oh, I thought that was a C. And then they realize, of course, that that extra line has to be there. So there's a few cards that sometimes will get them mixed up. This happens to be another one of those, I think this is called an open string card. And they'll often mistake this for middle C. And then they'll ask all sorts of questions about why the bass clef is not there. So there are some good learning opportunities just within this game. Now, if you just have a regular set of flashcards, you won't have that one, obviously, but it still might have this note on the grand staff, depending on what flashcard set you're using. So the more notes that are in the flashcard for a student farther along, the better. But let's say you just have a student who's maybe only done maybe C pentascale and middle C position, or even just that middle C position. You could use just a deck of, like, I think that's about 10 cards, and just go through that and get that process started. And then as they add more notes, you can put more cards in the deck, and then have them find those notes. So the only thing you don't want to do that I wouldn't encourage is taking a really large deck of notes and limiting just to those beginner, like bass F, treble G, middle C, because it would be overwhelming. So if you're going to have the student find fewer notes because they know fewer notes, just keep the number of flashcards you use smaller, and then it can continue to grow. I hope that makes sense. And I always kind of preface this whole game with students. I talk about how if they were in a really big room, like full of people, like a big ballroom with tons of people, which I guess is humorous to think about, because none of us are doing that right now, right? But if they were in a huge room of people, they could easily pick out a parent, or they could easily pick out a sibling. They wouldn't, find someone and say, oh yeah, that's my dad. Oh wait, oh sorry. They would be able to instantly recognize those people, and we want notes to be that instantly recognizable. So I also talk about that too, because some of them they'll figure it out, but it'll take them a little while. So that's why we talk about that instant recognition, like right away. You want to know them that quick. So this game is really good for that, and it's a little bit silly and a little bit fun depending on your noisemaker, and there's a little bit of suspense, so that's really fun too, and they really enjoy that. So this is a game you can do, a really quick, short game you can do, again, at the beginning of each lesson to liven things up, or if you notice a student sort of getting tired in the middle of a lesson, or if you want to end your lesson with a bang. This is a really, really great thing. So I hope that was fun. I hope that's helpful, and that that's something to bring a little bit of energy to your online lessons. Have a great night. Bye-bye.